If you're cheap, you need to watch this video. Oh, hold on a second. Let me fix something. What's going on, everybody? This is Ant the Dude coming back with another video where we're reviewing and home brewing. Today we're going to be talking about emulating on your cell phone through the Delta Emulator. So if you have iOS or Android, I believe you can use this to emulate pretty much any retro game. It will be on you to find the ROMs for those games, but as we said in previous videos, hashtag GTS. So the best part about the Delta Emulator is this is free. So the ROMs are free, should be free, and the emulator is also free. So one of the huge advantages to this Delta Emulator is the obvious. You always have your phone with you. How else are you going to keep up on your LinkedIn profile? Another big advantage to the Delta Emulator is it's very easy to upload the ROMs to your phone. So I was able to airdrop it and also download these straight from your browser that you use. Can't tell you where to go, but this is how you upload them. In addition, I mentioned in my last video about dedicated emulation hardware that it's very easy to upload and test your homebrew ROMs that you're working on for these systems. So this is another advantage here, is it's very easy to load your homebrew game to this emulator. So a few other awesome things about this Delta Emulator is that content creation is very easy, and there's a lot of customizable skins and colors you can get for the different systems. So first I'll talk a little bit about content creation. So this whole video has been recorded using the screen recording utility on the iPhone. So if you're looking to make content for YouTube, really this lends itself really well to shorts, or the Gameboy Color emulator anyway, since it is in a vertical form factor. It is very, very easy to do so. So you've seen some of my other videos were recorded through this emulator and used for some uploads for YouTube. So it's really very easy, and I've been enjoying utilizing it for that purpose. So in addition, I believe there's a lot of crowdsourced skins on this emulation app where the users can make their own skins for the different systems, which makes it really customizable for the player. So just like we were talking about, for your physical ROMs, you're limited to that library. If you had a Game Boy, original hardware for Game Boy, you would be limited to whichever color you have, unless you have a huge collection. So this is pretty cool, as you can pick your favorite color, you can pick your favorite characters. Towards the end of this video, there's a really awesome Charizard skin that I thought was really cool for the Game Boy Advance SP. And in addition, you saw at the beginning there was a kind of a landscape orientation for the Game Boy, so we'll just call that the Game Boy Color Advance, that I thought was pretty cool. So it's kind of a mix between those two systems. So the user experience on the Delta Emulator is really well refined. It does take a little bit of getting used to, which I'll talk about in a second, but actually utilizing the buttons on here is pretty smooth, and you get a nice haptic feedback with a short vibration when you press the button, so you get that positive acknowledgement that you have pressed the buttons to make sure that you have the control over your game. So I'm not sure if I would use this emulator for things with really precise movements. I'll kind of talk about that in a second. So another minor qualm I have with the system here is what you're looking at is ballistic on Game Boy Color, which looks really nice and colorful, as you would expect. One thing I did see, which you'll see in a moment with with Pokemon Red on Game Boy Color, is that if you're utilizing a .gb ROM, the color palette is just simply in black and white. Whereas if you had played that on a original piece of hardware, you know that color palette was those red colors that everyone is familiar with. So you can kind of see that here. You know, we're talking to Gary, and the color palette is just in black and white, which is not typical for a DMG or really the Game Boy Color, as the color palette would be those reds. So that's just a minor thing. Once again, I think the experiencing the game again or for the first time is well worth having this color palette in this case. Alright, next I'll dive a little bit into some of the, I guess it's called precise movements with the D-pad. And I know you all saw this during my 40-minute long video of Bugs Bunny's castle, but you can see it here where I was having trouble utilizing the D-pad. So in this game, the way I play it anyway is I'm kind of moving left and right and utilizing the up key to go through the doors and the pipes that were in each level. So that got a little bit confusing with a flat D-pad. You couldn't really give two inputs at once, which is what I typically do when I play this game. So it certainly takes some getting used to, and it was a little bit hard to play this game based on my muscle memory of playing it before with the flat D-pad. But overall, it's still playable. Like I said, especially if you're playing something that's not as fast-paced as this game, you would probably be able to use the D-pad with no problem. But there's a product out there that kind of gives you the tactile feel on this emulator, and I believe the name of it is the Game Baby by Bitmo Labs. It's kind of a all-in-one case that can flip the bottom piece around, and it will give you a D-pad and the buttons to play on your phone. So a really cool product here. I believe it's still in pre-order, but you know, Bitmo Labs, if you're listening, I would love to try this out very soon, because I think it's a really cool product and I need a new phone case. So just to close it out, I had to throw this Charizard skin at the end. Just another example of the skins I was talking about previously. And this is an emulation of a Game Boy Advance game, so it looked really sharp and didn't have any problems emulating that. Playing Wolverine's Revenge here. So just another way to showcase what the emulator can do. So that about wraps it up, guys. Thanks for watching, and this is the last video in our series. The next video to come out will be something that I wanted to share about retro emulation handhelds that I think is important in today's market for these items. So I'll be sharing that in the next video. Be sure to check it out.